Just go over that quickly, Traci, so we can jump on.
So we can jump on.
Yes.
So I am introducing myself again.
Yeah,
so
just
for those people who are like, what is going on? They're just like mid-sentence. Like we're trying. So Wulwyn and I are trying to do this Facebook live share of our biweekly conversations, and we were like, okay, we finally figured it out. We're on. It's live, and then we realized it was just sharing with me. So we're gonna do a quick wrap of what we were talking about to me. For those people who don't know, I'm Traci Phillips. I am an executive leadership and performance coach by career. I am a absolutely, probably too much for my own good, incredibly curious individual. I have been my whole life. So constant lifelong learner, times 10. And, Wulwyn, my dear friend here, who, I got to meet. So I'm so grateful for our meeting because we have these really great conversations about life and career and, spirituality and just whatever comes up, basically our lives, right? Like Correct. In real time, in present moment, what are we experiencing? What are we noticing? All that fun stuff. So we were talking a couple weeks ago, and the idea was, wow, these conversations are really valuable. Like maybe in this time when we're all kind of asking ourselves, how can we be valuable in different ways because the way we have been doing things is changing, and what if maybe these conversations could be valuable to other people? So we're very humbly, if they're not, that's good too, but we're humbly putting, our bi-weekly conversations live because Correct. Honestly, if we get feedback also, that's valuable to us. Correct. So anybody who wants to, share their thoughts on what we're talking about, it just adds that, like that collaborative value add, right? The dynamic of having more people, having these, again, just spontaneous, really conversations, and just see, right? So we're gonna play, what do we call it in the playground?
We're in the sandbox. We're in the sandbox right now, and I believe so Traci, the innate coach, her story were introduced by Jenny Meachley. Was it Jenny and Sarah Madras?
Yeah, Jenny. Sarah, was it Sarah? Jenny? I can't remember. One of the two.
I think it was Jenny. It was Jenny. So Jenny, thank you. Yeah, Jenny. And props to Kimberly Hines Winborn for showing us how to do this Zoom to Facebook live feed. But as Traci said, we're just coming in here and talking our stories, talking what's going on in our lives. I keep notes. So as Traci's talking, even when we weren't doing live, I would always open up my Microsoft OneNote, and I would date it and have all these things that Traci's talking. And one thing that I look back to our March 3rd conversation. And in a March 3rd conversation, you were talking about we were talking about guiding thought in the season, right? What's the guiding thought in the season? And in the conversation, I said something to the point of, gosh, I know I'm a businessman, but I feel I'm a fisher of men, right? So it's me, my business side and the spiritual side going in and just telling people about Christ. And then you talked about the zone of genius and the zone of excellence. Let them eavesdrop on that conversation now, please.
Yeah, so again, credit where credit's due. When I was reading a book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, he talks about these concepts of zone of genius and zone of excellence. And I thought, that's brilliant. Like, I love that language, because in my work too, it's about defining things, right? When we can define something, we can align it with our choices, and then ultimately, the outcomes we want in life, and own it, right? It's hard to own something we haven't defined. And so, with this definition of concept of zone of genius, zone of excellence, for me, it gave me language to...
Traci, I'm going to cut you off for a quick second. Spell his name, The Big Leap. Is it Gay Hendricks, as in Ishii, Ndrix?
Hendricks, I think, is KS at the end as opposed to X.
CKS. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Gay Hendricks.
Yes.
Okay, I want to put that in the comment field so people can can go ahead and get that just in case they're interested, right?
Great leadership book. So Gay is really a well-known leadership expert. And so he's really one to know anyway. But yeah, so the language, I'm like, oh, I love this. And so in my work, I've taken it a couple steps deeper. You know, my company, the Innate Coach, a lot of people ask me, what's that about? You know, innate, you know, I'm like, well, you know, for me, we oftentimes identify with the things which are actually our zone of excellence, which are our acquired skill set, even though we were born with an innate skill set, which is, as I see it, our zone of genius. And so knowing what our zone of genius is, which is oftentimes it goes unnoticed by us because it's just who we are and how we do things. We don't think it's special. We don't consider it as valuable. And yet that's exactly what is most valuable about us. And so helping people to understand and define those different areas, those different zones within us, because really what a lot of times happens is we think it's about our zone of excellence, right? All of those degrees we got, all of that experience, you know, all those, the things we learn in life, right? That we think is our value to the world, that we're supposed to make money from, and that we have to give people, and all of that are really our supportive skills, not our main ones.
Correct.
Right? And we wonder why we get to a certain level of success and we still don't feel fulfilled. And it's because we're not actually giving from the place that was designated within us that is core and authentic and genuine. You know, it not to say that the things we have learned are not genuine, but it's not what we were born with, and it's not the main skill sets. And so to flip that and to say the zone of excellence is here to support the zone of genius, not vice versa, starts to bring in that level of fulfillment. When we are simply who we are is our value, it changes everything. And when we know that and we're operating intentionally from that space, we get to experience how that changes as well. So that's what we were talking about, and just how I get, like you can tell, like super excited about this stuff because, you know, people are just like, oh, I'm like, it's not supposed to be so hard. I mean, yes, there's a lot of efforting that goes into the zone of excellence stuff because they're supposed to be, but it shouldn't be effortful to be who we are. And many times we think it is, because we're not thinking about it in these terms.
So for people who may just be joining, I see people joining. So excellence is below genius.
Excellence is, well, yeah, that's a really good question. Where do we put it? Like, I like that question.
Is excellence all the things that I'm doing, my degrees, etc., that supports my genius, right? So it's me believing I'm a builder when I am 3, 4, 5 years old, 6 years old. It transforms into software engineer when I am 20. I'm not going to tell my age here. When I am 20, in my 20s, in my 30s, I start to feel, gosh, this thing really isn't what I'm supposed to do. I'm squirmy, same as I'm in a cocoon, right? I'm like, something's going on here. I can't stand this. And I move from there, and the money's good, but that's why I'm staying in my excellence, but not knowing genius is calling me to say, hey, dude, you come up here. This is a place that you will shine, and you rest in your genius because it's natural to you. Because I can tell you, Traci, as a software engineer, I'm sitting down, gosh, I can't understand this concept. Let me see, can I talk on this concept in a trainer or engage with anybody about what I do? But I tell you, when I did resign and I found out that all these different things that I did, the so-called degrees, the experience as an engineer, as a business manager, as a program manager, etc., into now that I see myself, I'm a builder of infrastructure, a global infrastructure for God, and it's not going to be for Christians, it's not going to be for Muslims, it's for people, because it's people who we have to serve, right? And it's building these different infrastructure. Now, when I find out that, gosh, I'm in my zone of genius, and this is after you and I spoke. When I found out that I'm in my zone of genius, I look down at my excellences and I say, thank you. Thank you so much that you did what you did for me, and now I'm a genius in where I am. So excellent. That really, I punt back to you.
I love it. I seriously love it. And this makes me so happy because it's the moments where when I meet people, I can see this, but it's not about me seeing it. And it's not about me seeing it and telling the people who they are. It's about me holding that space of seeing it, right? Kind of like, so like, I can't never remember his first name, but his last name was Bannister. He broke the 4-minute mile, right? Before that,
Correct.
Human beings were told, they scientifically had proven that human beings couldn't run faster than a 4-minute mile. And yet this man does it. So what does that do? It holds space for us to know and break through that ceiling of limiting belief. Correct. To say we really can. So, and not only that, like maybe we could run 10 times faster than we thought, right?
Oh, true.
And so that's the piece that once we see, then people get to see what I see. Like when you see your genius, now you're seeing what I see. And that moment of that recognition of who you truly are, not what you do for a living and not what you've done throughout your life, but who you were born as without having to even lift a finger, just coming into this world. You had all those things. And for you to now see that and not just see it, but understand it and know it, so you can intentionally deliver it from that space. Now you're in, again, zone of genius is also when we talk about like in the flow talk, being in our zone, like, oh yeah, I was in the zone. Like that's to me what that is. Because it's effortless. There's nothing easier than being who we are.
Correct.
Right.
So people are listening, people are watching, right? And I'm seeing some comments that are joining. If you are, and here's why you're eavesdropping on our conversation, because I just couldn't receive all that goodness from Traci and whatever she was receiving from me. We aren't going to be selfish with it. We lead with value. So here's where it comes to you. As you're walking this life per se, and you're thinking to yourself, gosh, I'm not there. I still, if you still feel like there's something more, I think there is, Traci. If you feel that, and I think this zone of genius comes with, I think it's where everybody like purpose driven. What's your purpose? What is it that you're here for? Search for it, right? Whatever spirituality that you attain to or for. Mine is Holy Spirit, right? Traci is Holy Spirit too. So we meditate, we say, God, show us what we're here for so that we can operate in our zone of geniuses, right? And as you search for it, trust me, you'll find it, because he that seeks finds. you keep knocking, the door's going to be open, right? So that was one of the profound ones that we had. Traci, you have anything to say during this time? I mean, I'm going to be looking at my past notes to see if I can hustle anything from there.
You got a lot. You're doing the back and forth things, like notes, people talking, all this. One of the things you shared, I think earlier today when we were talking is, and this is what a lot of people are going through too, because we're in a really large, shifting, changing time. The way we've done things now is not available in some regards, right? What we've learned to be our norm, right? Day to day. Somebody said to me recently, I can't wait until we can get back to normalcy. I'm like,
yes.
Like I don't know what you mean by that, but I don't think we're going back anywhere. I think we're only moving forward, and how that's going to look is going to be different. And so there's a loss there, and you were talking about when you made the decision to leave, your comfortable job and what you knew and what you were trained for and all this zone of excellence, right? That you were very comfortably well positioned in and operating at a very high level, of success and everything else. You literally had to lose things, right? In order to step into your mission, right? Into your genius. And I think there is what I like to talk about is that's not easy. I mean, when the caterpillar is literally dissolving within the cocoon, the chrysalis or whatever, I forgot at what stage it goes from cocoon to chrysalis or chrysalis to cocoon, I don't know. But that cannot feel good. I mean, it kind of I was actually talking to Sarah yesterday about this, Sarah Madras, about, I use the birth analogy for any woman out there who has had a natural birth, where you feel the transition, what they call transition, which is the part of delivery of a baby that is the most painful. You feel like your whole body is going to be split in half. I don't mean to be making anybody uncomfortable here, but like you literally like, I'm dying. I don't think I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
But that's the point at which the baby's literally transitioning from being inside the mother to starting to be outside, right? From one environment to another. And something is dying. The relationship we had with that child, not only for the mother, before that child has only been in the womb, now the child is going to be outside the womb, the caregiving is going to be different. But for the child, right, all they've ever known is that womb, and then suddenly they're, cast into this very different environment. Yeah. There's a death. There's a death of how things were, normalcy, so to speak.
Correct.
And we get to honor that, but we also get to honor it more in a way of also saying, this is what I'm giving up in order to grow into and develop into what I came to be, right? And so I really honor people like you who are willing to hear the calling. I mean, I had a client a number of years ago, and she is a healer, an energy healer. Gotcha. And she came to me and she goes, yeah, I can't do this. I'm like, okay, what is it you can't do? She says, I'm getting called. I'm getting dreams. I'm having things downloaded spiritually. I'm not going to be the crazy spiritual woman in my neighborhood. Like she was having like such a crisis of identity at that time. She's like, like I live in a really nice place. I go to, these tea with the women in the groups and and the bridge parties. And she's like, they're going to look at me like I just lost my, like my last marble. And I said, okay, you get to grieve that. But let me tell you something. When you're called up, the only choice, you have two choices. You can be dragged or you can go willingly. Because when we're called. And I mean, I'm not here to tell people they have to go. I'm just saying that if you resist, it's going to be painful. It's going to be even more painful than giving up what was to become what is.
Correct.
So
Traci, I tell you, you talk about the deaf, and I had a teacher back in Liberia that said you will die the deaf if you don't study, meaning you will fail, and your parents will cut you behind, and whatever else, right? But that deaf, when you're moving from one level and getting into your zone of genius, and that I think even in excellence, when you're in that level of excellence, there are levels you go to that certain things die, but they don't die per se. They are added into the toolbox, so that when you get in this genius, when you move, as you're moving from excellence to genius, I love this. The things that die they're not your toolbox. It's your flesh. It's what you've been accustomed to when you're living in that excellence, right? It's the flesh that's just sitting and going, yeah. It sits back and basks in the rewards of excellence, not knowing that all of this is to support you to get to genius. And in order to get to genius, when those things start to die, so the foreclosure of the house, living on a friend's floor, right? Did I think back and say, let me think. When my education, did that education die? No, it did not die. My experiences, nothing died, because I'm using that in the business that we're doing now, right? In the management consultancy. But what died was I was arrogant, and I was arrogant on the sneak, right? I was, what's the word? Arrogance, egotistical. And I think I told you I would go in a room and I would enter the room of 10, 20, 30, 100, whatever people, and I would say, I make more money than 90% of these people in this room. Is that it? But mind you, I said I was a Christian, and I would come and I would come and act so humble in front of everybody, but that's what I'm thinking in my mind. But God knows exactly what's going on in your heart. So that, as I'm moving from excellence to genius, I'm dying to it, but my toolbox, it's what I need my toolbox in order to operate in the zone of genius. So people who are listening, right? You're going through what you're going through now. I think, Traci, you talk about dying to death. COVID-19, this process is there. There's a whole lot of dying going on. Some of you are dying to your jobs because there are furloughs, there are, layoffs, etc. But I tell you, if you put your head in the sand and cry, trust me, you can cry for a few, right? Wake up, because it's only when you wake up, smell the coffee to say, and you start to strategize and ask. Again, I ask God, show me what's my purpose in this time. What is it I'm supposed to be doing? How can I do it? That takes you to the next level. And your next level just might be genius, but maybe this is an excellence piece for you. Who knows? But take the journey, right?
Absolutely.
Traci,
I love it. So I'm thinking a couple of things. My brain's just like, boop, 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 boop,
hit me.
When you're talking about the tools, I think of integration, because just like that butterfly or the caterpillar to butterfly analogy, we're integrating. We don't really lose. Like, that's what I was hearing in you. We're not losing anything. Things may dying in the sense that they're changing, right? And the ego death, to its comfort zone, right? Another maybe more gentler way of looking at things is to say, and I love what Caroline Myss says about this, is that when we go up through levels of development, first the ego will go looking for that zone of genius, for that mission we came here
to
be on, and the ego does it differently, right? The ego is about competition and how much am I making compared to how much they're making, and how many followers do I have on my, Instagram and Facebook and all of that compared to them, and like competition, right? Because that's what we're taught, right? That's kind of the level of playing field that we've been conditioned to.
Correct.
And so first we go looking for purpose in the ego, because that's where we start. And then eventually we wear that out. And that's where we become, at this, I think, is amazing. At a mass level of worldwide proportions, we're all getting to this place where we realize, we started to see trends in it with like tiny home nation and people downsizing. And I remember having conversations with a bunch of girlfriends where they're like, yeah, we're not doing Christmas presents anymore because they just, it's just stuff that gets, that we have to dust every week, and we're going to do experiences with our family. We're going to go on trips for Christmas. We're not doing stuff, we're doing experiences. And to me, that was an awakening to that next level that Caroline Myss talks about, which is when our soul starts to call us forward and say, the stuff is not enough. The stuff is not enough. We didn't come for the stuff. We know we can't leave with the stuff. So we might as well acknowledge it's not about the stuff. What is it about? And then we start to ask that question. And so as you were talking, that was kind of what I was thinking, is these levels of working from excellence, as I talk about the people who think they have to have the alphabet after their name with all the credentials, like you even see it on LinkedIn, and I don't want to offend anybody who has the alphabet after their name. Correct. But my question to you is why? Why is that so important? I mean, especially people who have transitioned to other careers. I see this a lot, where they're doing one thing, but they still feel the need to have the credentials from their past lives, right? Their past careers. Why? It's not applicable. Ask yourself, why am I feeling the need to put the alphabet there? To prove that I have these titles, or to prove that I have these levels of expertise that I went to school for? Because you know what? Your zone of genius is nothing you went to school for. You were born with it, right? So it doesn't have letters. It's within you. Yes. Own that. Don't worry about the other stuff. You know what? It doesn't matter. Anybody can buy that stuff. And I'm not trying to take away people's excellence and their experiences and how that matters. I'm not trying to strip that. What I'm trying to say is you're not going to feel fulfilled if you think that's important. Correct. Because honestly, most people, when they look at that, they don't care. And if they do care, they're focused on the wrong stuff.
I spoke to, I need to, you know what, I Someone told me, I think it was John Titus. He's a friend of mine, and he's an Instagram star, bodybuilding, fitness and nutrition. And he told me, he said, well, when all things being equal, you selling the same product, I'm selling the same product. People buy because they like you. They don't buy because of your alphabets. They don't buy because of, it's just the value you bring to the table, period, right? And this is where authenticity comes in, right? How authentic you are when you come to the table. I'm thinking about there's a AAU coach, Gary Williams. He does AAU, has a girls team. My daughter plays on the team, and a boys team. But Gary moves with such passion for basketball, and it's his zone of genius, right? That he gets all of our kids in there, and yeah, some of us are there, some of us aren't, but he becomes their dad. He becomes their dad in coaching basketball. But there's just such a family atmosphere around there that there's so many other coaches out there that you look and say, who does it like him, right? So when you engage people with when they are operating in the zone of genius, you're looking and you're like, it's effortless, as you said, and it's no work for the person who's operating it. Let's do this, Traci. With 30 minutes in, this is the first one. We just jumped in and we're like, let's try this. Let's see what happens, right? I want you to, and this is where I come in with this. You said no strings attached, etc. But what I want you to do is I want you to give your website. I want you to give your phone number, and I want you to give a quick blurb of, who you work with and how you do it before we get off here.
So best way to get me is actually through my website. And I like that because people, I work with a lot of people who say, I'm a discerning type of person. I like to filter things through. I like to take my time. I like to soak it in, as I'm ready. And I honor that deeply. I think that there's a lot of, and again, it's because we're trying to stay relevant and we're trying to stay pertinent. We're trying to stay, purposeful in this time of change.
Yes.
But there's a lot of noise right now out there. And so I don't want to add to it. I don't want to be like, hey, here I am offering,
Correct.
This is my reaction to that, is to say, go to my website, get to know me, see what I'm about. Like, that's the best thing, because I don't know what's relevant to people. I don't know. Correct. I could say, these are the things I want people to know about me, but I don't know what people want to know about me. Maybe they don't want to know anything about me. But my website's a great place to go. My blog posts are there. So all my writing, I'm a big writer.
Ooh, big writer. Ooh.
Yeah, I love to write. Thank you. Yeah.
You see, guess what I'm seeing? Let me tell you what I'm seeing here. You told me, well, when our conversations are no strings attached, no hooks to it, right? And I was led to just do that just now. I was led to do it, and I'm seeing you saying, well, when you're going against what we said, but I'm not. I want people to get to know, and it's not even you becoming their consultant or their coach, right? It's just getting to know a good person. Just getting to know someone and build. It's not about money, people. It's about value. It's about relationships. It's about relationships. And that's all we're saying. Build a relationship with her and see how it goes. It's just be a hi, a bye, or hey, peace, right?
Well, and honestly, I love feedback, all types of feedback. If people are just like, that did not land well with me, or even what I just said, when I'm like, don't worry about the alphabet after your name. Some people may be highly offended by that comment, and I want to hear that, because I want to honor people. I mean, I think that's probably when I did my own exercise of the what, how, where, which is something I do with clients, and to determine what their value, to define what their value is, what their natural approach is, and also what those environments that they're here to create are. When I did that, my number one word in value is reverent, and I realized that's why I maybe tend to plod along a little bit because I'm very aware of an audience in the room, you know, how people feel about certain things or could possibly feel about them. And it has nothing to do with political correctness. It has to do with energy. It has to do with feeling. Because to your point, we don't buy things based on what we think. We base any of our actions based on how we feel. Correct. So when you're a person in a room, you don't have to say anything. If people are flocking to you and wanting to just come up and talk to you, that's your energy, right? That's that magnetism that's just natural to you that you're probably not even aware of. Correct. Right? That's your zone of genius. And so for me, you know, I want people to discover that for themselves, you know, with me. Like, am I someone they're magnetized to? Am I not? And I honor that either way. I have reverence for that either way. I think it's all relevant, and there's a reason we're not here for everyone. But I think that it is great when we have websites or places that people can go, and because we can't go and mingle anymore right now, at least now, you know, where do we go to meet people and try them on and see how we feel and vibe with their energy? Correct. Well, these are places that if we do it right, if we use the right authentic language and we put videos or whatever we do, our writing, whatever resonates with us on there where people can come and experience that, then we still have that capacity. And so, and I think that's what you and I are trying to do with these. So yeah, my website is theinnatecoach.com. Lots of stuff there. Want to hear from people. As far as contacting me, there's a contact page there. That's the best way to get me. Normally, if people try to call me, they can't get me because I'm on the phone or doing this. There you go. There you go. Right.
So team, I tell you our next meeting is in a couple weeks, and we'll come back in 2 weeks. I look forward to talking more with you, Traci. It truly has been great. And I'm thinking on what we'll talk about next time. As we know, we don't know what we talk about. It's, hey, Traci, how are you? How's everything going on? And there it bubbles up, whatever it is. And I think today's zone of excellence and zone of genius was what bubbled up depth as you get into your genius, and just plotting forward, right? So to our audience, those who are out there, thank you for coming. It's the Innate Coach. It's 2 N's, right?
2 N's.
It's INNATE coach.com. Take care and have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye. Now, thank you.
Traci, this is where I'm gonna have to look now. So we're in the sandbox again. I have to see how to stop this party.
We're still live on Facebook. I love this party.
We're still live. So this is where, you know, we're still like, oh, let's see what's gonna happen here. I am going to end watch party. There you go. No, I'm gonna watch videos in this one. End it. Good. Done. And then on this one, it's still on Facebook Live, and we're about to stop the live stream now. So
that is so cool.